Welcome to New Realities. My name is Alan Steinfeld, and tonight's guest is someone who I feel holds the keys to what New Realities is about. He has been a witness to the historical developments of consciousness, espionage, politics, UFOs, cover-ups. Gordon Neville, thank you for being here.
You're quite welcome.
And his book is called The Supreme Cosmic Secret, and what's the rest of the title?
How the U.S. government reverse engineered an extraterrestrial spacecraft.
And you know that for sure.
Absolutely.
So the U.S. government captured spaceships from Roswell.
In Corona and other places over time, probably 10 or 12 of them.
Uh-huh. And then and Bob Lazar and other people have talked about this. Okay, we don't...
Yeah, you don't want my comments about it.
Okay, I don't...
Bizarre.
Okay, so they dismantled this ship, and they... how did they reverse engineer it?
They looked at it and said, well, how does this work? And how does this work against the physics we know, and if we don't know it, then how can we figure out by the basis of how it works what the physics is that it's affecting?
So what was the physics?
Yeah, well, they in my opinion, it wasn't 0 point, and it wasn't dark energy and dark matter. It's something we call spatial torque vortex,
which is anti-gravity.
It's a form. No, it's what causes gravity to begin with, but it can be addressed by a circuit, an electrodynamic or electromagnetic circuit that will affect it in such a way as to cancel gravity, or we will call it gravitational cancellation or negation, or in the science terms dynamic counterbarry or barocentric control. And our favorite word is gravionics.
Okay.
So we believe it's going to be like the transistor was to the electrical industry. It became electronics because there was no... Electronics wasn't a word until there was a transistor to make it a word.
So they found the anti-gravity
machine.
Yeah. And have you witnessed these?
Yeah, we've seen the technology of what they did and how they did it, and talked to the people who did do it.
And describe what you've seen.
Well, it's a big generator, so to speak. It's what might be called a giant Marx generator, except it'll make constant high voltage, and they use the high voltage, which is not used in our industry today. They use it in their industries to negate gravity because they know how to apply it upon the physics that really causes gravity, which isn't, may I just say, it ain't Uncle Albert Einstein or the old Albert Einstein theory.
You go through that. You say there's time, space, inertia.
Yeah, well, Albert says that time and space are together.
Right.
And I buy that. Then he said that gravity and inertia, the force you feel when you hit the brakes on the car and etc., were concomitant. And I buy that. Then he forgot that you can't have gravity without time, and you can't have inertia without space. So it's all the same. Now, if you can figure out what's going on that's causing all of that to function, and you can change it, then if we can get rid of gravity, we can get rid of time, we can get rid of space. If we can get rid of them, then the universe becomes a very small place.
Well, what is causing all those things to function?
It's what some scientists call it spatial torque vortex. It's a natural torquing force that's a twisting force that is in space, and it's just there.
So you tap into that twisting force, and
it goes further than that. And then it creates little particles that are hidden in zero time because gravity's hidden. It's right in front of us, like a box in a box. We'll say, okay, we're living in a box, and we'll call this time, space, and length, width, height, and time. Then we got a box inside of that, and we'll call that no time, no space, and etc. And so no time exists within time. We call that tau, for the Latin version of it. Now, if there's no time and there's a torquing force and they got little electrons that are making up this torquing force that are not turning, and they exert like electron does around a Van de Graaff generator push, then that push becomes gravity. So all we have to do is figure out how to kill those little electrons, how annihilate them, how to dampen them out of business, how to negate them, how to cancel them. If we can do that, then gravity goes away. When gravity goes away, time goes away. When time goes away, space goes away. Now the universe is right next door. Star 1, Star 2 are all real close. So they get around real quick out there. Based upon
And
what
this
I
is
know.
all in your book,
Oh, yeah.
Cosmic Secret. And the subtitle to that book is...
Subtitle is How the U.S. Government Reverse Engineered an Extraterrestrial Spacecraft, and the subtitle,
Yeah, that one.
Why E.T. Doesn't Make Formal Contact.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Yeah. Well, because he can't. He can't afford to stick his nose into our business in an overt way. Other than the way he does it is he's told what he can do and what he can't do by the Almighty.
By a God.
But God writes the future. God's a playwright. God's the grand bard. He writes the future.
Is there a being called God? I mean, is
Yeah,
there a single...
he's a bingo. He is around here. I mean, you got billions of cells that wouldn't work if it wasn't for him. It wasn't for it. I don't even call him because that's being chauvinistic. It's a hermaphrodite, if you want to call it that.
But it's a single being, you feel.
It's a single entity enterprise that's got mother and dad and king and queen all rolled up into one. And it's a ferocious, nasty... I'm not happy with God. Okay?
You're not?
No, I think he's barbarian. I think he kills a lot of people unnecessarily. I think that acts of God are acts of murder. Okay, and that the people he's killing don't want to die. He may be doing them a wonderful favor and send them into a fantastic nirvanic perpetual orgasm of an existence, which would be a grand heaven. Okay, my version of a grand heaven. No work, perpetual orgasm.
But going back to ETs, because we don't think we can get into like theology, but the ETs, you're saying they do come. I mean, people have seen ships, and they do appear. They do probably abduct people, and yet they're not allowed to make a permanent.
When they look for command orders, all they have to do is go look at a TV screen that shows them what's going to happen tomorrow that they got to carry out today.
So the ETs see the future. They know.
Yeah. They know what God's thinking and what He wants to do tomorrow, today.
You know, all these races, because you say there's
because
hundreds of races.
they're hundreds, thousands, probably billions.
But they are all in concert with each other?
Yeah, absolutely, because they all have to interact, but they don't have anything to fight over because they got everything. There's nothing to fight. There are no wars out in space. There's nothing to fight about.
Why are we fighting here on the planet?
Because we are trying to get protein and energy.
And they have the free energy.
They got the free energy, and they can get all the protein they want from the free energy.
So what are the ETs doing here? I mean, aren't they abducting people for our genetics?
They're here to screw the women, mostly, and they enjoy the sex with the women, and the coin of the realm appears to be sperm and eggs in terms of what they trade.
And what do they do with the sperm and eggs?
They grow people.
For what reason?
Just to see how they're going to interact with us when we do have contact.
And do you think contact is going to happen?
In my opinion, definitely I would say in the next probably 2 to 5 years.
Gordon, your mic.
What is the scenario of how you see a contact will actually happen?
Uncle will want to release the technology, and ET. You can make contact now with ETs if you really got the time and money. Because I know people that are talking to them.
How would you make contact with ETs?
You go to see the people that are talking to them.
Well, why are they talking to them?
Because the ET trust them for some reason or other. As mediators.
Have you met the ETs?
No, but I've met the mediators.
What did the mediators say about the ETs?
They say that some of them are nice and some of them are kind of arrogant about they think we're backward barbarian meat eaters.
So what's the purpose of the interaction with the human ETs from the people you've met?
Well, my guess is that it's like anything else. It's like if the monkey in the zoo starts talking, you're going to let him out the zoo.
Right. So you've met, can you name anybody? You can't really.
No. I don't want to put them through the grease of what they tell me, because I mean, until they show me, I'm from Missouri.
Right. But besides this whole ET and the Supreme Cosmic Secret, you know about the Kennedy assassination, Watergate, Waco. I mean,
DeLorean.
How'd you get involved in the early days in the White House?
I invented an electromagnetic field screen to stop electronic bugging of the Oval Office so that they could have a discussion about a preemptive first strike.
What year was that?
66.
But you were also involved with the Kennedy stuff before that.
No, I was up here at the New York. I built Bourbon Street at the New York World's Fair when I was 22. I went back to New Orleans, went into the electronics business, and built most of the spy equipment that's around today. Many of the designs and toys came from my shop. And then I built an electronic countermeasure system that ended up at the White House. So from there, they said, gee, you're real smart, and can we use you for anything else? And I said, if you got the money, honey, I got the time.
Right.
So I became a special agent of the White House.
Under Johnson.
Under Johnson, and then under Nixon, and then under Reagan, and maybe under anybody.
So people have accused you, of course, of being CIA.
That's not true.
Right.
It's absolutely not
you
true.
work for the White House.
I'm very, very closely wired. I'm friendly with directors. I've been friendly with the deputy directors and directors of CIA and DIA since for as long as I can remember, going back into my 30s. So, you know, I mean, I had a security company that did a lot of boom and bang work around the world, getting hostages out of places that, you know, that they didn't want to have gotten out. So I did that, and I did some other work for guys like DeLorean, who went up against the powers that be and needed somebody to show him how to strategically beat them. So that's
what did you do for DeLorean?
I was his director of strategic security.
But he didn't beat them, did he?
Yes, he did. He won both the criminal cases.
Oh, he did?
Yes,
So,
he lost the civil case.
So where's DeLorean now?
He's very dead.
He is?
Yeah, he died.
But what did you think of his technology?
I love him. I thought non-obsolete cars is the way to go.
Right, because
He was my best friend for about 35 years.
Really?
Yeah, I met him on the salt flats when I was 15 years old.
Did you get a car?
I drove one for 500,000 miles. Yes, I do believe in the DeLorean car.
And what happened to the DeLorean, though?
They're making them. They're building them down in Texas. You can buy brand new ones, but they cost you about $60,000 right now.
But they never fall apart.
They never fall apart. They're stainless steel.
So getting back to Kennedy, because it seems like you knew about what was behind Kennedy and his connection to UFOs. Well, can you just tell me about that?
Well, when I was working at the White House for Johnson on the electronic countermeasure stuff, Garrison started making noises about the thing. And they knew I was from New Orleans, and they said, can you possibly get a job on the inside of his office and tell us what he's doing? So I called up his backer, was my backer. So Garrison's chief backer was my backer. And I said, can I get a job as chief of security for Garrison? Oh, yeah. And Garrison was interested in the electronic. The next thing I know, I'm in the middle. But then I catch Garrison faking stuff and one thing and another and putting it in the trash can.
But why would Garrison fake? Garrison wanted
because he wanted to win and he didn't have any evidence. There was no evidence out there for him.
What did he want to win?
He wanted to prove that somebody killed Kennedy. He didn't care who.
So he started to fake the evidence.
He faked the people. He faked everything.
But there was someone who killed Kennedy.
Yeah, but it wasn't his scenario.
So you figured out though who did kill Kennedy.
Yeah, it wasn't Clay Shaw, and it wasn't the CIA, and it wasn't a bunch of Texas oil men, etc., working with the CIA and etc. It was just simply the boys that had the most to gain and lose.
Which were?
The people who didn't want the release of the extraterrestrial technology, the guys who didn't want to lose the oil and the coal and the gas and that, and the boys who didn't want to have their bank funds cut off, and the boys that were capable of doing the job, that were pissed at Kennedy for double-crossing them over the delivery of West Virginia and Cook County, Chicago, by him going and prosecuting them. So they were a little angry at him.
So all these people got together.
They got together and they said goodbye.
They said,
and goodbye. And Oswald got to be the patsy.
And why Oswald?
They needed a patsy.
But then Oswald was purposely assassinated.
Yeah, well, because they were planning on assassinating him real early, but Officer Tippett screwed up and he got Tippett before Tippett got him.
So who was Ruby?
He was a needed soldier to go do the job at the last minute, and they called him into and said, Jack, do your deed.
Because if you look at that video of Ruby actually shooting Oswald, you hear two horn honks. The first one he enters, the second horn honks when he shoots him. Was he sort of...
Yeah, he might have been waiting for the horn honks.
Or was he hypnotized? Or was he programmed?
I don't know. I never met him. I used his appellate attorney to sue Garrison in Playboy magazine.
And why'd you sue Garrison?
For saying I was a CIA agent.
No, he said that because you said he was lying about it.
Yeah, because he wanted to turn me in. He needed a CIA agent to create the CIA's role in the thing. So he made me his chief of security. He turned me over, and I'd show you how quick the characters change in a play in New Orleans. Okay, so I went from being his chief of security to his most important material witness and an agent of the CIA. None of which were true, because I was up here at the New York World's Fair relieving Elizabeth Taylor of a lot of money.
You were relieving Elizabeth Taylor?
Yeah, the day of Kennedy's assassination, I wasn't on the grassy knoll whacking Kennedy. I was trying to whack Elizabeth.
What do you mean?
She gave me $650,000 for Mike Todd Jr.'s America Be Seated minstrel show at the New York World's Fair. Go look up at the history books. It's all there.
Elizabeth Taylor gave you
$650,000 out of her money from Cleopatra for Mike Todd Jr., her stepson.
Right.
Had a Broadway minstrel that failed, and he wanted to bring it. It was a mixed minstrel show, and he had failed in Philly, so he brought it to the World's Fair and put it in the old French Opera House, and it ran 2 days, but I got it $650,000 the day Kennedy was killed.
Well, you got $650 for actually putting it into the World's Fair at the New Orleans exhibit.
Yeah, at old French Opera House.
Oh, so you had nothing to do with the Kennedy... I'm speaking here with Gordon Neville, who's a real expert on the UFO cover-up, and I want to know who Majestic is, because it's been a name people, and how they form and why they control the secrecy of UFOs.
Majestic is first and foremost the most secret organization in the history of the world. It has no offices, it has no charter, it has directors, and I've identified them, and it's got a lot of employees, and I've identified them too.
Who are the directors?
Oh, people like Zbigniew Brzezinski and Henry Kissinger, and Carol Thatcher, and Bobby Inman, and Michael McConnell, and others.
Okay, so who are they, and what do they do?
They run what is called in the intelligence business an apparat, an intelligence organization whose function is to, number one, reverse engineer the technology and operate it. Number two, have contact with ET. And number three, cover up the whole story. And number four, fund it. And they funded it from mostly nefarious ways.
And they started in 47?
47.
And so...
And became the leaders of the world.
Because they got the technology.
Yeah.
So they're still running now?
They're still running now, sure.
And they're the ones they're the men in black that go and investigate people's stories?
Exactly. But they became the Navy Space Command, which is what they are today.
So they recovered the ships from Roswell. They reverse engineered them,
And today they're flying 8 big starships.
they had the U.S. secret government has built starships.
Yeah, and they've stolen $2 trillion out the Department of Defense to do that. And that's not me quoting, that's Donald Rumsfeld saying.
Yeah, Rumsfeld said they were $2 trillion. So was Rumsfeld covering up for Majestic?
He was covering to make sure he didn't get blamed for the stealing of the $2 trillion.
So when the
Trillion now.
$2 trillion. Well, it
takes trillion to build starships.
So when Majestic 12 came out and said there's no ETs,
They didn't ever say nothing. Majestic never has said anything. Majestic doesn't exist.
They say they never exist.
Except there are 200 documents referring to them in the federal government that have been somehow or other got to the surface of reality here.
Why doesn't Congress investigate Majestic?
Because they would immediately have their ass put in a big trap, because Majestic can see the future, so they know exactly what's going to happen before it happens.
Oh, Majestic can see the future because of the ET technology, so...
And Majestic has a great edge.
Yeah, but Majestic must know, like you say, the ET...
They know, Majestic knows I'm going to win. That's what that's why I'm alive.
Why haven't they stopped you
Because I don't put up with bullshit from gangsters. It's not my style.
No, but Majestic, if they see the future, knows that this ET secret's going to come forward, right?
Yeah.
And so there's nothing they can do to prevent
They're
it.
they're just gonna ride the bicycle until they get to the end of the road.
And then what will happen with this whole cover-up?
Well, a cover-up, we're trying to make a movie about it called POTUS Briefing Eyes Only, which we may get
POTUS
made.
briefing?
POTUS Briefing Eyes Only, the Supreme Cosmic Secret, which is what we're trying to do in Hollywood, which is a total expose of it. We want to be the disclosure, the full-blown disclosure of the whole thing. So we got A, the technology, and B, we got all the information. Because we know where all the bodies are buried.
Which bodies?
A lot of bad bodies out there buried.
Which bodies are particularly buried?
Dr. McDonald got buried.
Because he tried to come out and say
there have been a number of guys that turned up dead that shouldn't have turned up dead at the wrong time.
Like even Keystone from the 50s?
Kehoe. Well, Donald had problems. There are a lot of people that have opposed him. The difference is that I'm not like the people who normally oppose him. I go after you. If you come and you threaten me, I'm going to ask you how your kids are.
Well, I'm not going to threaten you. It's
okay. So if don't come threaten me unless you're prepared to pay the price.
But you don't have an organization behind you.
No, but I don't need an organization. I happen to know how to play hard.
Okay, but what's the vision
I
of the...
still fight.
What's the vision of the future now? Okay, what's the thing with ETs? How is it going to unfold?
I think we're going to make a movie that's going to be the most sensational movie in the history of the world. It's going to totally expose the whole thing. And then I think there's going to be a hue and cry and demand for people that are going to say, you mean I can be rich if they'll just release this technology and we're all rich and I don't have to work anymore and I'm a multimillionaire? I want my technology. So then we were going to create the demand for it, and Congress is going to have to satisfy that demand. Otherwise, they're going to say, all these guys are criminals. They're all covering it up. They all need to go to jail because this is counter-evolutionary to our benefit.
Right. So the free energy technology will be released that the ETs have given people.
Yeah.
But the other thing is you got documents from Area 51. Talk about how you're able to recover documents. And what is Area 51?
I just steal them. I'm like anybody else.
How do you get them? How do you get into Area 51?
You just go into the offices outside Area 51, or you pay off the guys that are working there and give them some money and get them to bring you what you need.
And what is it that you got from Area 51?
I stole all the technology. I expropriated it, is a good way to put it.
You stole the anti-gravity technology.
Absolutely. I expropriated it. We don't use that word. And I patented it, too.
You patented it before the...
Government never wanted to patent it. They didn't think they could keep it a secret, and patents only last for 20 years. This has been going on for 60.
So now you can give this anti-gravity technology and
I'm planning an auction hit on eBay.
Well, why don't you build the ships? Why don't you build it
because
yourself?
we are working toward that goal. The purpose in the auction is to put all the money into the Starship development plan and let the governments of the world develop the technology with my team.
Well, can you get an independent corporation, private corporation?
Yeah, we got all that.
To just develop the...
Yeah, well, we are doing it ourselves.
And have you seen anti-gravity?
I've seen devices fly that had propulsion without expulsion of mass. That's pretty close. That's called electrogravitics.
And they levitated.
Yeah, and I flew the first one.
You flew it?
And the CIA's got beautiful pictures of me doing it.
You actually drove it?
Yeah, no, we flew it in a hangar where it would fly around with radio controls, and it would just move around, and there was nothing coming out of it. It just would move. So it was very ghosty.
So it had no...
propulsion method.
And so what propelled it?
Electron flow.
And you create
create an electrogravitic flow of electrons that moved it.
Why can't we just get that technology into everything?
Yeah, the CIA's working very diligently on that technology, right?
And your people are too.
Yeah. We built it because we had a deal with a guy who double-crossed us. He says, you build me a toy that will fly on electrostatic propulsion, and if it will fly on all 4 axes, which means radio control, he said, I'll give you $5 million. So I built it, it flew, and he didn't give me the $5 million, he double-crossed me. His name was John Paul DeJoria. He's a deceitful, treacherous, lying bastard, period.
Okay.
Now, remember I said that, John.
Is it so... No, to get like kind of a big picture about
You
this...
know who I'm talking about?
I don't know.
That's the guy who has John Paul Mitchell hairspray. He's the guy with the ponytail with the beautiful blonde light.
He said, build this and I'll give you money.
Give me $5 million and I built it. It flew, and CIA will be happy to tell you it flew. And then when it flew, he wouldn't even come there and bring. He couldn't even show up because he knew I was going to cut his ponytail off and stick it up his ass.
Wait, but wouldn't he want this technology?
No, he decided to join Majestic.
Oh, so they paid him off.
Oh yeah, because he was very friendly with the head of the Bilderbergers, which was his investment banker, the chairman of the board of Goldman Sachs. So that's what happened.
So do you think this will all be exposed if you can see the future? All the government secrets and cover-ups will be out in front at some point?
Yeah. It's got to come out because this film that we're making, this POTUS Briefing Eyes Only, and my book, is already exposed all the technology. And POTUS Briefing will expose all the politics and how everything fits together.
But you do realize you were talking about many people aren't really taking you seriously. You realize that?
Yes, they are. How can you say that the CIA ain't taking me seriously?
Well, why you say they are taking you seriously?
Because how many people do you know can go around Hollywood and hand out scripts with this on it?
It says POTUS Briefing.
Prepared for the Central Intelligence Agency and Steven Spielberg. POTUS Briefing, Eyes Only, Classic. Classification Umber Red. Supreme Cosmic Secret. U.S. Government Liaison Control Officer Dr. Ronald Pandolfi. Production Control Executive Gordon Novell. United States Central Intelligence Agency. President of the United States.
Right, and you also...
Proposed official U.S. government disclosure program. Isn't that about as formal and official as it gets?
It's formal, but I'm saying, why aren't they stopping you?
Because I have their authority.
Oh, you do have
I do have authority.
For you to come forward and say that.
To put those seals right there.
Well, and you, the head of the CIA had given you that authority.
They all know that this is going on.
So they're all for this disclosure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
But Majestic isn't.
Oh, so Majestic is working counter to the
CIA and the DIA and a lot of other government agencies.
It's hard to know who's working for
Department of Interior, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Department of God knows what it is that they're opposed to. But they've got wires. They're very powerful.
And you said you were on the phone before with the head of the CIA, the former head of the CIA, Worsley? What was it?
Oh boy, yeah. I kind of associate. I've known all the heads of the CIA for a long time. I mean, could I go through Watergate and JFK, DeLorean and Waco and all that stuff, okay, and not get wired?
So they've been following you and wiring you, and
I'm known for being a paladin. That if you got a problem and you need somebody to take on the problem, and the problem is a big intelligence agency, and you need somebody to fight them, and call Gordon. He knows how.
So the big battle now is between Majestic and the rest of the government.
It's between RAM and Gordon and the rest of the government.
Who's RAM?
RAM is my group. We call it RAM gravonics right now. We don't know what we're going to call it in the final end, but right now it's been called RAM gravonics for replication alien machine.
So it seems like the majestic people are losing their power.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea.
I see. So you now, what about like Obama? Is he aware of this at all?
This says this is for the president.
So, but
President POTUS briefing. POTUS is President of the United States briefing, eyes only. This was made for him. If he don't play ball, then we will insert this like a suppository in the president's backside.
Is he even allowed to see? I mean, are the forces that control the president allowed to see this?
Yeah, we're showing it to him now.
You're showing it to him.
Yeah, John Podesta and them are seeing it. Panetta and etc. They all know about it.
So you're showing this supreme cosmic secret to Obama.
That's right. And if he doesn't narrate the opening of our film, then we say he refused to talk about it, and we accuse him of being a criminal in the cover-up. A major criminal. I mean, we're not talking about minor criminal now. We're talking about major criminal.
So Obama's going to come out with this. So it doesn't have to be a film. It could just be a press conference.
No,
right?
we want it as a feature film so that we can go to the public and say, here's how it all works. These are the impacts of the whole thing.
So does Obama know about this right now?
Yeah.
And he's just waiting for the right.
He's waiting to see how we're going to put the production together.
Well, if Obama's behind it, then you get as much money as you want for a production.
But he ain't gonna say that.
Well, it doesn't seem like you would have a problem with the production.
Well, I'm not having a lot of problems. I'm moving along pretty good.
No, I'm saying you'll get as much money as you want if.
You've got to remember that in Hollywood, he's got the goal, makes the rules, which means he makes the movie the way he wants, right? We're at the point where we want to make it prepared for, which means that if we wrote this way, we want it to be presented this way. So to do that, we must control the money, right? So that's why other sources of money besides Hollywood are involved.
I see. So let's say you make the movie.
Yeah.
Then what do you expect will happen?
I expect that there will be a cry by a lot of people that will demand that they want their technology today so that they can get rich tomorrow.
Their technology, free energy technology.
Yeah, they're gonna want to they don't want to pay those energy bills.
So
right.
this film and this big plan will give energy back to the people.
That's right. Give it to them for free.
All right. So how can people buy now? This is the Supreme Cosmic Secrets online on your website.
Yeah, you can read. But no, this isn't on my website. My book.
Your book, The Supreme
Cosmic Secret, is on my website.
Gordon Neville.
The book, right.
No, the website is Gordon Neville.
GordonNovell.com. Gordon, GordonNovel.com.
I mean, there's just so much to absorb here, Gordon. Thanks. I mean, is there anything else you want to leave us with as far as ETs and...
as far as I'm concerned, I'm not into ETs. I'm into the energy. I want to see this energy get out. If I can say that I was the guy who caused the free energy to go to the world and everybody got rich, everybody's going to remember Gordon and say nice things about him. He's a no good son of a bitch, but they will love me.
Well, let's see if it happens. You see it happening next couple of years,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, right now. Right now.
Thanks for your work. I appreciate it. I'm talking to Gordon Neville, Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. Email me at newrealities@earthlink.net and check my website, newrealities.com. Well, that was good. Yeah.